Yeah, we're going to be talking about book sourcing, book purchasing, and acquisition specifically. And we've got people from kind of a wide range of different types of organizations talking about where and how they get books. So we're excited to bring that to you today. Um, as uh, as Kelly said, I'm Elizabeth Draga. I'm the founder and executive director of the Book Truck. We're in Long Beach, just outside of Los Angeles, California, and we serve exclusively teens. So that's definitely one of our challenges when it comes to purchasing is getting books. We purchase a lot because we are looking for very specific, high interest, high quality, diverse titles because it's a huge priority. And as you can imagine, teens are a little pickier sometimes than their elementary school peers. And so we're often looking for very specific titles. So I'd love to go around and have everyone just in the panel say your name, your organization, and also how many books you give out around, how many books you give out annually, and what percentage of those are purchased so we can get a sense of where everyone's at. Um, Erica, do you want to go first?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I'm Erica Riddle. I'm the executive director for Christy Yamaguchi's organization that she founded, Always Dream. We serve the San Francisco Bay Area in California, so just to drive up the freeway from Elizabeth. And we also serve the state of Hawaii. And our program is a little bit different than probably a lot of the organizations here today and that you'll hear from on the panel. We provide digital library access to the TK and kindergarten students and families that we work with, also providing them the actual hardware of a tablet, a data connection if needed, and the support of a book coach. We do some hard cover book distribution. I think this year we're about 15,000 books that we're distributing to our families. And I would say about 45% of our books are purchased and the rest are donated and are new donations.
And those donations primarily come from publishers, not book drives. Is that right?
That's correct. Our donations are coming from publishers.
Samantha?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Samantha Hagen-Lingad. I am the Vice President of Programs for United Through Reading. We are also sort of like Erica, we're a little bit different from other groups in that we serve our military and veteran community and ensure that our military family members are able to stay connected through the read aloud experience, whether or not they get to be in the same room together. We are headquartered in San Diego, California, but we serve military families all around the world. And we give out roughly 90,000 books a year. 72% of them ish, depending on the year, is donated. Our donated books come primarily from publishers, but we also do have a pretty robust Amazon wish list that we are building up and want to continue to build up. And we do want to increase the percentage of books that we are getting donated. And we, similar to Erica also, we only distribute new, unloved, unpreloved books. We want to make sure that the books are really good quality going into those kids' hands.
Marie?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Marie Kovar. We are headquartered here in Omaha, Nebraska. Our organization's name is Dibs for Kids, which stands for Delivering Infinite Bookshelves. And we are more of a circulation organization. So we have built a QR code technology that is on the back of every book that the kids get to check in and check out a book from their classroom every single school day. So we provide all of the classroom teachers with about 212 books per classroom. And then the reason that it's infinite is that every 4 to 6 weeks, those teachers switch those books. So really when we're purchasing, our challenge is really trying to get a wide variety of books. So we're not ordering just single titles and things like that. We're really ordering a wide variety of books using a ton of different publishers in order to do that. So far this year, we've sent home about 250,000 books, and it's important just to kind of think like those books are being used over and over again. They're not just a one-time deal for the students. So each student may have taken Home Pig and Elephant 10 times, all that kind of stuff. So we're looking at that more of that circulation model. And we're very strongly, it's very important to us that we have a strong program evaluation, knowing that what we're doing is working for our students. And in looking at that, we're very big on dosage. And so our students, when they do take home around 80 books per year, they're making significant gains on their state testing and MAP testing. So that's us. Looking forward to hearing from everybody else today.
Kate?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kate Sorsted, Vice President of Operations at Heart of America. We are an organization focused on educational equity, and we do that through transformation projects. So think Extreme Makeover School Edition, with great corporate partners coming in to finish things off, as well as bridging the resource gap, which is where our book distributions, school supplies, furniture, and power come into play. We are headquartered in DC. Our team is scattered across the country, and our projects are in Canada, Puerto Rico, every state, and anywhere else we're asked to go. We have a balance between a warehouse full of books, and then depending on the project we're working on, supplementing that with purchased books. So depending on the year or the partner, it could be as much as 50-50 donated and purchased, but very project specific. Over the course of our lifetime, we've done 5 million in books, just around, and it ranges obviously from each year, but around 50,000 on average, always new books.
Thank you. And Jessie?
Hi, I'm Jessie Morris. I'm with Bookspring in Austin, Texas. I'm the logistics manager, and every year we give out about 200,000 books to 250,000 books. We have a few programs where we do our books. We do in-school programs as well as free books to the community. We do purchase books in other languages mainly and low-level English, but in terms of our split, due to our grant, it's about 80% of purchase books from distributors and 20% of community donations that we have volunteers sort through in terms of their quality. Some might go into the purchased room because they're in high quality, while others stay in our red room, which is where free books can go out to the community for free of charge. And yes, that is our org. We serve Austin, Texas in our literacy efforts, as well as the entire state through a grant that covers the whole state for any child under the age of 5. And we give them board books, English, Spanish, any other language they're asking for. And we are at about 26,000 enrollments for that. And they get a shipment every 6 months. All right. And that is us. I'm excited to hear from everyone else too.
Great. And I forgot to mention, we give away about 10,000 books a year right now. It's changed a lot. We've really, we've grown a lot since COVID, just in terms of the demand, and also so our capacities had to increase. So I would say originally we did a lot more of donated books, but right now in terms of our split, we're at probably 60% purchased, 40% donated. We also use community books. But we're very specific about quality. So we're looking for those like new titles that could kind of create that bookstore experience for the kids we work with. So question, this is for the group. Excuse me. What, in terms of, were all of you always predominantly purchased, or was there a switch that happened where you shifted from donated to purchased books, and kind of why did that shift happen for you?
I didn't get to say hello. My name's not on the thing because I'm in my car. Capital Region Literacy Council.
Well, we're having a hard time hearing you, but we're in a panel discussion at the moment.
Well,
right.
I'd love to
Yeah,
say
yeah,
we
perfect.
did move from donated texts because we just do book drives and we have community partners that donate books to us. And so it kind of depends on the flow from there. I would say it is about a 20% of the books that come in are in like new condition that we can transfer over. But we've always noticed a gap in those early literacy and Spanish titles. So those are the ones that we focus the most on purchasing. And that's what creates our demand.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I can add for Always Dream, we actually started with pretty much exclusively donated books from publishers, but then as we've grown, it's been harder to secure enough books. So we've actually then started incorporating more purchasing into our efforts, and year over year as we grow, I think our purchasing power is going to grow there as well. And then for the digital book access, we are purchasing Epic library subscriptions for all of the students in our program. So that is, I guess, you can kind of consider that a purchase cost as well.
And Erica, in terms of digital books, I would love to hear a little bit more about how that works. And subscribing to a platform versus trying to purchase individual titles, and how did you guys end up where you are with digital books?
Yeah, I'd say it's been a journey. We explored a lot of different avenues for providing digital book access. And for us, we ended up deciding that partnering with a platform that gives broader access to a large number of books was just easier for us to manage, especially as we scale. So the way the platform works is you're typically paying a set fee, and then the people you're giving the licenses or subscriptions to have access to the entire library. There's different models where you kind of can start with a core library and then add on certain publishers as packages, depending on what you're looking to do. I also just want to shout out my friend and colleague, Emily Cicchini, because she and I did a digital book learning webinar in January. I think you can find it on the NBAA member resource section, where we talked about a lot of the different kinds of ways to do digital books, because there's also open source digital books as well. And Bookspring has an app that they recently launched too. So a lot of options out there for digital books. And I think it's just kind of trying to figure out what's the right platform or way to pursue that for you and your organization, if that's something you want to explore.
And Jesse, you mentioned some of the gaps that you're trying to fill through purchasing. And I'd love to hear from anyone else kind of the reasons why they focus predominantly on purchased books versus trying to get books donated from the community, and what gaps you're trying to fill.
So for Dibs for Kids, really, it's kind of like that high quality of book and the large variety for us. We just really need so many different titles at so many different age ranges and things like that. So that's why the purchasing power is important to us. In addition to that, it's the languages. We serve dual language classrooms, so I need a whole set in Spanish. We have refugee students coming in, so I need Somali, Dari, Pashto, Arabic, all of the things that we need. And so being able to purchase that makes a lot of sense for our organization. And so that's why we're really kind of focusing on that purchasing power.
We experience very similar. It's trying to be mindful of the communities we're serving and the unique nature of what that classroom or school needs. Our warehouse is awesome, and the donated books we have had over the years and we've accrued can serve a really great purpose, but sometimes we'll need 100 of the same book or 500 of the same book. And we have not quite that. Sometimes we can get you 100 of anything you want, but it's just being mindful of the cultural relevance and the requests of the different school districts.
So sort of along the same lines, we have changed a lot over the 35 years of our history. We started purchasing books out of the gate. And the reason we were doing that is we were curating books book packs to send to various locations around the country, primarily military commands. And that really carried us through all the way to COVID when a lot of the world shut down, obviously, and we switched gears to get more books directly into the hands of families. And at that point, we had established enough relationships with vendors that we could financially purchase brand new books. Like I said, we're still looking to expand our donated books, but we have the ability to purchase brand new books and make sure that it reflects the diversity of our military community. And there's also the added, no one's really talked about the heavy weight that it is to sort through donated books. And while they are wonderful resources, as a very small staff, and most of our staff, they're the only staff member within a number of states, it can be difficult to sort through those books, to get volunteers up to speed on how to sort through those books, and to have the warehousing to store sorted donated books. So we've kind of focused on the purchased books because it gives us a little more control over where things are and when they get there.
Yeah, that is 100% correct. Also, I would love to hear about kind of the in terms of purchasing, how does the kind of book flow work for your organization? Do you have, I know we've, on the first day we heard from kind of the book bank operations. Do you guys have warehouses? I know some people use drop shipping. So I'd love to hear about how the books flow through your organization in terms of when you purchase and store and then eventually get them out.
So for us, we're lucky enough to have a warehouse and a great team, small but mighty team that operates that. And it's able to hold, like, we have just under $1 million worth of inventory within that space. And it's small. It's part of a larger warehouse, but our landlords are good to us. And so we're given a lot of grace there. So we do have a team that's managing that, which also houses school supplies, furnitures, in addition to the books and things we need for our other projects. But then when we're purchasing, up until just recently, it's been very project specific, and then sending those direct to the schools that we're working with, and then reorganizing them there, trying to avoid the double. But we are very appreciative when we do get a large purchase opportunity or a large donation from some of the great publishers and vendors we work with, that we have space to say, yes, please. So we definitely get a little spoiled with our small but mighty space.
Go ahead, Jesse.
Yes, so it depends on the program that we have. We do drop shipping for the statewide program. Obviously, we do individual houses that way. We have an RX program that works with healthcare facilities to get out those books to the children in attendance of the healthcare appointment, as well as any siblings there. We drop ship those. We do have a warehouse, though it is mainly for excess books and donations. Funny enough, we don't like repeat titles at our organization because we like to have a lot of different titles available. So sometimes that is for storage of books that we can't usually use. But other than that, we do deliveries to schools that need the books. And then for partners that receive our free books, we just ask that they come collect them at our location, where we do have a separate room with all of those boxed away, versus a library system using the accelerated reading scale in our lobby area that has them sorted by the different grade levels.
So we also do kind of a combination of various different things. We do drop ship directly to military families and veteran families. In addition to that, we have a few warehouses, quote unquote, they're storage units throughout the country, where we have boxes and boxes of books that we will get volunteers and staff members into, and sorting books and shipping books out, prepping them to go out to various locations. So one of the things we say at United Through Reading all the time is there's no one way to do this. And we kind of pride ourselves on meeting our families where they are. So we don't have a big logistics arm. Jesse, I'm super jealous that y'all have a logistics department, even if it's just you. That's amazing. So we kind of guerrilla our way through it. But yeah, we do a combination of all things.
We usually do all of our book purchasing in the summer before the school year starts. And we used to do the purchasing throughout the school year because we'll do book distributions at 3 points throughout the year. But we were finding in a post-COVID world that things were not getting to us in time. And so we really needed to plan ahead. And so that's why now we secure all of the inventory ahead of the school year starting. We have 2 different warehouses that we partner with, one in the San Francisco Bay Area and one in Hawaii. And then from there, they'll do pick and packing and send out books directly to our school partners who then distribute it to the students and so that they can take them home and keep them.
Yeah, and ours is, I'm really trying to work on this, you guys. Like, we just moved into a new warehouse space, and so it's bigger than what we were in. But honestly, it had been kind of like on demand, a little, not on demand, but like a school would want to start, so then I'd order, and and I had enough of a runway, which was great. But I know our executive director and I have been talking a little bit about trying to get better at just like ordering quarterly and be more mindful of that, so it's not quite so crazy sometimes, as we all know, like it can get a little like hectic and things like that, especially with small staffing and everything. So we're really kind of trying to work on that workflow. But how it works for us is I order from all the different publishers. It comes into our office. We label them with all those QR codes, and then we kind of ship them back out to the schools and classrooms. So it's actually a pretty easy process for us now, now that we've kind of got it more under control. But just knowing, I mean, sometimes it's just a little wild for a while, right? And we all kind of figure it out and try and make it work the best that we can. So I'm working on the flow, everyone.
Yeah. So I would also, I would also love to hear what when you purchase the books, who is doing the purchasing at your organization? Is it you? Do you have a dedicated staff person? Is it a team of people? And also connected to that, do you have any specific criteria that you use when selecting books for purchase? I know for us, a lot of it is dependent on kind of availability. So we know the types of books we're looking for, and then we're kind of checking with partners to find out, okay, where can we find those high interest books? And how do you guys do that? Marie, do you want to start?
Yep. So I am the primary purchaser when we purchase like large quantities of books for our classrooms. And then kind of all of us as the team, like we all love to shop for books. It is really very fun. And so, there's always that option for our team as well. In terms of how I purchase, it's really just kind of going off of what I'm needing at that time for a classroom. And like I kind of mentioned before, we really need that wide variety of books at a wide variety of age levels. So I'm not only ordering from Penguin Random House, I'm ordering from Language Lizard when I need those Somali Dari Pashto books. In addition, I'm going to Learner Publishing because I need more nonfiction that needs to be on the shelves in order to go out. But what I've really found is that it's really nice when you have those publishers and you can make those contracts and things with them to kind of get those discounts. But in terms of kind of making sure that I'm just ordering what I need to, it's a lot of math.
Yeah.
No lies, just trying to figure out what every classroom needs and stuff. But I actually very much enjoy going to all those publishers and really seeing what's out there. And like you said, Elizabeth, you need to know what your constituents are wanting and needing and what's cool and popular, because I really want to make sure that I'm handpicking those books that those kids really, first of all, want to read. They're culturally relevant and they're just fun, right? Like the joy in reading is so important. And so I want to make sure that what we're finding for them, graphic novels, are very cool.
Yeah.
Our director of programs does all of our purchasing, though she's getting a lot of input from our program team, which consists of our book coaches, who are the ones working directly with families to support them in their reading at home. We'll also bring in children's librarians to help us curate lists. And so we go through the digital library collection and kind of see what are the gaps there. And usually that's the kind of books we're purchasing to kind of fill those gaps. So for example, in California, we tend to be purchasing more bilingual English Spanish books, and then in Hawaii we're purchasing more Asian Pacific Islander representation in books, just because the digital libraries are okay, but not quite as robust as we'd like them to be, given the demographics that we're serving. And so that's usually what's informing the kinds of purchases we're making.
That's actually very similar to our organization as well. We have a lot of demand from the on-the-ground program managers. We are currently kind of transitioning to a different role where that person, we're bringing on someone who would do kind of the majority of the book ordering for us, that we always have something on the shelf, making sure that those titles are in the languages we need, showing the types of families we need, as well as creating our own content that we're posting on our app, as well as our website, bringing in those voices that we need to hear. But yes, in terms of working with our distributors that do the drop shipping, we come up with a list together of the approved titles that we'd like to send out, and they work off of that list. And then once we kind of exhaust that list, we create a new one together.
Kate, have we heard from you?
No, it's really similar. I was debating. I was like, go ahead, Dad. We are lucky enough to have a procurement team because of our various projects that we're doing all across the country. And within that team, sometimes it's nice to get to order books instead of construction supplies. So they gladly take it on. But for the most part, it's within our warehouse team are the ones doing the selecting and the purchasing, because everybody wears multiple hats. So
I manage our purchasing when we do bulk orders or orders that are going out to certain sites. Through our app, we allow families to choose the book that they want. And so we have a list of over 400 books, and they actually have the ability to suggest books to be added to that list as well. And those books are then drop shipped via Amazon directly to the family. So they kind of do their own purchasing in a way. And that's a valuable resource for us because we obviously get that data and we can see what books people are interested in and focus on those in some of our bigger bulk purchases if appropriate.
I'd love to hear what some of your sources are in terms of where you're purchasing books and also why you use those places specifically. I know we will probably have a chance. We have a chance to check in with the Jamboard later. But yeah, I would just love to hear where you guys are sourcing your books and why those particular places. Marie, do you want to start?
Sure. So we use a wide variety of publishers, like I had mentioned. One of the big things for us is making sure that they're very high quality books and interesting, like I mentioned. But the other part is really those contracts where we can get that cost to come down quite a bit. And they all do something different. I'm not going to lie. Like there are some similarities amongst them, but there are some different ones. If it's a smaller publisher, maybe you're only getting 10% off and free shipping, but that is what they can do at that point in time. However, some of the bigger publishing houses do a really nice job of 55% off when you have so many titles, or 60% off when you have so many titles and things like that. So don't be afraid to enter into contracts with publishers. It's very simple. It's just an email. Some of them, I had one Barefoot Books the other day. They're great. They have really cute ones in Spanish and in English. But they were like, haha, yeah, we'll meet with you. And then like when you kind of actually tell them how much you're going to be purchasing, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, let's talk about that. So don't be afraid to like go into those meetings and know what you're doing. Just be prepared to be able to say how much you might think you might be purchasing at that time. And then obviously purchasing for a wide variety. Language Lizard is amazing for a wide variety of books and things like that. And I know, Erica, like I'm so interested in hearing about your purchasing with Hawaii. Like that is so interesting to me. So maybe you can speak a little bit to that. I would love to hear more about that. I didn't mean to jump in with a question, but I was thinking.
No, I love it.
Sure, I can jump in. Yeah, Hawaii is interesting for a lot of reasons. But one, it costs an arm and a leg to ship to Hawaii. I mean, Hawaii's a state, and like I don't know why the shipping costs have to be quite so much higher. So usually when we're looking at shipping to Hawaii, we're looking at like, okay, what's a large quantity we can purchase and have shipped. Lee and Low is a publisher that we've been really impressed with. They have great diversity in their children's book content, which is typically what we're purchasing. And so they've been a great partner to us for purchasing. Like Marie said, like the percentage discounts we're getting from publishers really vary depending on what we're able to negotiate. But that's been a great source for us for purchasing in California for those bilingual books, but also for Hawaii because they do have a decent amount of Asian and Pacific Islander books. We do gift all of the kids in our program. So Christy is actually a children's book author herself, and she's written 3 books. So we do distribute her books as part of the distributions. And then we have a great partnership with Kamehameha Publishing in Hawaii. So Hawaiian language books, they're bilingual, typically are the ones that we're providing. And that's really important for us for a lot of reasons. One, the state of Hawaii Department of Education is very focused on how to incorporate Hawaiian culture into education. And so for us serving DOE schools in the state, it was pretty critical that we made sure we were providing Hawaiian language content to our students and families. And so Kamehameha has been a fantastic partner to us. We've also been working really hard to try to connect them with our digital library partners to get their books digitized and on those platforms. But I am learning that the world of publishers coming to agreements with the digital book, particularly platforms, is challenging from licensing agreements and things like that. So we're still doing what we can to try to connect them and check in and go, hey, where are those conversations at? Because our kids would really like those books on the tablet. But so in the meantime, giving away the physical books that meet those requirements.
And as Kelly mentioned in the chat, we did put a list together of all the sources that we're talking about in this conversation. So that's going to be available in the member resources after the conference, just as a heads up.
I would just add in terms of the part of the question, like why we pick the ones we pick, it is, the discounts and going with that. It's also the relationships. Like we reach out to a lot of publishers and vendors and authors over the years, and you just start to establish friendships and relationships, and some are more responsive and some care about what you do and some just want to sell books, and good, bad, or other. It's been really nice to build a network of like responsive and responsible and engaging partners that we know we can rely on. So if we get a last minute request, I have my short list that is going to give me a good price, but they're also just good folks and a good partner to work with. And so we've been able to cultivate that. And those are the ones I'm going to go to. And also, they also tend to be the ones giving us great donations too. So it's that balance of, oh, I have an opportunity to purchase. I don't have to only ask you for like freebies, and finding that balance because of that relationship we started with them. That makes a huge difference.
When you guys are getting donated books from publishers, how much control do you have over the titles? Are they contacting you and saying, oh, we have some titles to donate? Are you going to them with specific requests? How does that work?
All of the above for us. Because again, I try to find a balance between purchasing when I can and begging when I have to.
Right.
But it varies by publisher. I always start with being very general. And then as we move through the donation conversation, I do ask for the list. And 9 times out of 10, we have hit the point of being able to say, oh, we'll take these 10, we don't need these, or be very upfront at the beginning about very like time sensitive individuals that are featured in books. Like if it's, we don't, when we have biographies and whatnot, we may pull back a little bit. And then really obviously focusing on who we know we're going to serve and which titles we know are going to be of most interest and high demand. I don't think very rarely are we forced into taking it. It's like all or nothing. I feel like we have been able to curate a list of sorts, but it is a balance for sure. And everybody's different.
Yeah, I was gonna say I totally agree with Kate. It really depends on the publisher. We've had publishers who will donate a gaylord of books to us, and in those cases, it's kind of a free-for-all almost. You don't really know what's in that box. And there are great things in the box generally, but then there's some others that we set aside and end up donating to other organizations. And again, to Kate's point, we have developed great relationships with certain publishers where we can ask them for a specific title, or we're targeting a specific age group or something like that. Like we want to provide books to baby showers or something to that effect. And they will, they'll come through with an amazing title or exactly the title we ask for. So it really runs the gamut.
Yes, as we have donations in a similar sense, we get gaylords from Literati, which is a national company based out of Austin. And they are a lot of, we just don't know what's going to be in there. So yes, that ends up kind of factoring into what we will give out of that and what is going to go into our inventory and where. But yes, I think it's really amazing that you're able to have these relationships with partners, because I'm always so terrified of like, could we please work something out, because I don't want to come across as, some kind of way, but of course, a lot of people are more willing to help out than I think I give credit for.
Yeah, I love what Kate said too about kind of mixing, you're purchasing and also asking for donations, right? So then everybody kind of wins in that scenario. Kelly asked a question in the chat, which actually was the next one I was going to get to, which is kind of what's your average target price per book when you're purchasing? What are you guys looking for? I know for us, our average is pretty close to between $4 and $5 a book. When we're purchasing new, we're looking for those high demand titles. So I know that shifts our price point up a little bit.
We try to stay under 6, like that's our goal. And sometimes we do it, sometimes we don't. I'd say our average is closer to 5 because of our currently closer to 5, which has been a big win to get it down through these relationships and what we've done over the last couple of years. But 6 is always my goal, because I know I have one partner that no matter what will give me a book at $6. So if I can get under that, then everybody wins.
For our organization, it is $2.65. But we value all books that come in that way and go out that way. So even if they're donated from, a community, someone like an elementary school or something like that, they're going to go out at the same price as another, as like a purchase book. So obviously not to step on toes or the question at all. I'd love to know in your system as well, a little bit about like the evaluating of your books in the system and how that relates to your book cost too.
Does anyone have an answer for that?
I
Oh,
think I do. So we keep our purchasing separate from our donations. So the two numbers don't really affect each other except when we put them together. So our average, I can tell you our average amount that we paid last year was $263. So right around the same place that Bookspring is, and that's due in large part to myself and a colleague being the crazy people that if we get the text message from the First Book Bank that there's a book bank drop, we drop literally anything we're doing, feeding a child, whatever it is, you are now sitting at your computer purchasing books like a mad woman. And that has really helped us drive down those costs when we do want to kind of spring for a more expensive title for something. We have the ability to do that we have the flexibility to do that.
Yes, I definitely hear you. When I get the First Book text message, especially if I see teen titles, I'm like, I gotta get it.
Nothing like a first book text message, right? Yeah, our average purchase price is probably around $5. Like Samantha, we're separating out any donated books from the purchase books. So I'm kind of tracking that separately. But for our digital library subscriptions, it's $12 per student per year. So that's actually a separate line item in my budget compared to my book purchasing.
Yeah, I would say we're averaging kind of that $4.50 to $5 per book. And some of that has to include the labeling that we have to do with the QR codes on the back. So we kind of add that in as well. Then if you're looking at Spanish texts, about $5 to $7 per book. And then in terms of like other languages, 7+, I would say at least. We do some purchasing through Amazon for other languages. Besides Spanish and English. And then we do utilize that language lizard quite a bit, which is a little bit more expensive, but you guys, we need it. Like I need it. I need my kids to have it. Like it's just kind of part of the process of figuring out what you need and how you can get that at the best price, but also still serving your students in a manner or people in a manner, that they actually need and want.
Yeah, and I would just add, we have to purchase a lot of, again, popular titles, but specifically stuff like manga that we don't get donated. And so we have an account with Ingram, wholesale distributor. And so we purchase just like a bookstore would purchase at wholesale. So we're at least getting under that, it's usually about 40% off of list price. That's been helpful for us when there's those books that we just can't source any other way. Do you have any other just particularly good sources that you want to share with the group and kind of why they work for you? I know several people have mentioned First Book, obviously. I think we're all using them. We also really over this last year developed a relationship with Book Depot, who of course has been an amazing conference sponsor. They deal in remainder books. And we have sourced really great high interest titles. For us, the ability to choose is huge. So we need to be able to know what the titles are. We're not really able to take, later books in the series. If we don't have the first book, we want stuff that's recognizable. And so anything like anything where we can choose exactly what title is coming to us is really a priority for us. So First Book and Book Depot are probably our primary purchasing sources if we're not buying directly from the distributor or something like that.
The other two, we also use those. The other two that we kind of primarily use are Bulk Bookstore. They have been really helpful as far as shipping large quantities to various locations at once. And then we are also a Scholastic literacy partner, which I highly recommend. It's a very easy process to become a literacy partner, and it's a great discount from just their regular list price. So those are the two we primarily use in addition to the others.
Yeah, and again, we do have a sheet that has all of the we'll have a resource sheet after this that has all the information about these different publishers that we collected from everybody. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, All About Books has been a really great partner. They're amazing with their communication. They're always able to jump on the phone really quick. They offer really amazing titles, and the process of working with them is really great. It's incredibly smooth. I'd also recommend Book Depot recently acquired another organization called American Book Co., and they're based out of San Antonio. So they've also got pretty similar book availability, and they've been a really great asset to us as well.
And in the chat, Kelly asked about becoming a wholesaler. Has anyone else gone through that process, or I can speak to it a little bit. Basically, we just applied through the website. They treated us, it was a little confusing. So it wasn't, I won't say it was like the smoothest process. but they basically ended up treating us like a library. So they're pretty comfortable. Ingram at least was very comfortable having relationships with libraries. They were confused that we weren't, selling the books, but once they kind of put us in the library category, that worked for them. We don't have a warehouse or a loading dock, but they have been okay delivering to my house or via pallet or whatever, as long as that's an option. We haven't had any issues. So yeah, it was a pretty simple application process just through the website. And then I had to have a couple of conversations with people just to clarify the nonprofit of it all. But it's been definitely one of our go-to places if we need to fill a really specific niche title. Did we miss any of your any resources that you guys are using?
So
Or-
Elizabeth, I really love, in terms of like lower level Spanish or
Mhm.
bilingual books, I know this is kind of an important thing for a lot of people. Crabtree has been excellent. They have a lot of cute little titles. I'm going to preface this by saying these are not authentic texts in Spanish, so just they're more translations. But however, we need a wide variety. So Crabtree's been one. Hamray actually has a lot of very cute, low-level English or Spanish books that have a lot of diverse characters in them and talk about a lot of different topics, just like going on a picnic or my first day of school, those kinds of things for students and kids. Learner does a really nice job with very low level English and Spanish books, and so does Rourke, which is actually Carson de la Rosa. I have it in my brain that it's Rourke still, but it's Carson de la Rosa. But they've been very good with that kind of thing too, just in case somebody is looking for maybe more of that little niche of that lower level Spanish or English book.
And how do you guys curate the lists of what you're going to purchase? Are you working with librarians? Are you working with like experience? And do you have, I believe as part of our conversation before, I heard you guys had some people on staff that was kind of a priority for them. So I'd love to hear more about that.
For us, it's all of the above. It's listening, it's the experience piece. It is depending on the school district, there is approved lists and there's wish lists of librarians too. And we find a balance between. And then we do have some of our staff has just an incredible background in book selection and book development. And so we're able to tap on them when there's a if this, then that type debate, or let's set them loose in the first book marketplace or other publisher wish lists opportunities. But it is definitely not one size fits all, and every project is so different for us that we're willing to do whatever it takes to get the most books.
Yeah, I would echo Kate. I mean, it's definitely very different lists for the two markets that we're working in. We are using our program team. A lot of them are former teachers or have been in the early childhood space for a long time. And so they're kind of bringing their expertise. They're also a multilingual staff team, so that helps as well. I think I mentioned this earlier. We do also partner with children's librarians. We also have Spanish language children's librarians that we partner with to help curate those Spanish language lists. So we try to make sure it's diverse in terms of the people who are vetting the lists. And we kind of have a rubric that we put the books up against as well in terms of what we're looking for. And like I said before, we've also kind of identified, based on shortcomings of the digital library coming into our book purchasing process, like, okay, what gaps are we trying to fill? So that also helps inform that. Sorry, this is a tangent, but I meant to speak up on the last topic, but Piplo Productions is another one that we've worked with. They have books in many languages, but they're also like social good type books. And so we partnered with them as a wholesaler, which was very easy to do, just filling out a form and providing some documentation to purchase books for the Lahaina fire victims. And it was a book specifically about grief and trauma in relation to a natural disaster. So if you're looking for books that are very kind of specific, that might be a good source to look into as well.
Great. And I'd love to just kind of open it up. I'm gonna check the chat really quick, but if anyone has any questions that they want to address to anyone specifically about purchasing questions or sourcing questions or anything like that, please drop that into the chat. And we can take questions. I'm checking to see. Another question that I had too, somebody was saying I would love to see the book rubric that Erica mentioned. So maybe we can figure out a way to share that. Yeah, I think it would be really interesting to see as well. In terms of how you guys are paying for the purchased books, is it just kind of part of your overall budget? Do you have specific grants that are like books only? How does that work for your organization?
For us, yes and yes. We build it
Yeah.
into our budget, and we do have grants that will sometimes they only cover books, and sometimes it's just baked into the bones of the grant. But yeah, all of the above.
I will second that, Samantha. Yes and yes.
Yes, and yes.
Our executive director works really hard to ensure that like we have funding for new books, then funding for, for new classrooms, then funding for replenishment books, and then funding for, Spanish language books and other languages. So yes, it's just a variety, and then some fee for service as well. And so that kind of helps us along too. So the variety is there, that's for sure.
Yeah. I would say it's similar for us, and we do use the fee for service. If we're working with a particular site that has a budget, then we might use any funding that they have to go specifically towards books for that site. If they have a particular area of interest, like if you're working with an organization that is arts focused, and so they want to make sure that we have those books available, then we'll do that. Someone was asking in the chat, in using all new books, how do you ensure that you have a wide variety of choices to choose from, or do most of your programs not have students choosing the books? And I would say we are all about choice. And honestly, the quality and the variety is one of the reasons why we purchase, because we want to know that the titles, we want to have what the kids are asking for and all of that. Yeah, does anyone else have anything to add to that? Are you predominantly choice based, Jesse?
Yes, actually, one of our biggest pillars is having choice. So when we go into schools, currently we pack the books for the schools in terms of making sure that there's diverse titles, more masculine characters versus feminine characters, a wide variety of stories. We are kind of go off the assumption of a reading is fundamental protocol, making sure that there's enough choice. So every time we pack for a school, we actually do a percentage added to it to make sure that there is enough choice for every child who chooses their books. We do use donated titles as well, but in terms of our purchase books, they definitely help with that as well. And yes, I also, to your earlier question, would love to know like if the program fees are kind of, if you have them for the people who are participating or the organizations that you work with, or if that's all funding and then there's no cost to the individual.
We typically, I mean, for us, the program fees are basically, it's, it won't be a ton. It'll be maybe a couple of $100s, and it goes specifically to books. So it might be like if the school or the program says, well, we do have some budget for this, then we'll take, a small amount, and then we can use that to go towards books specifically for that organization. How does that work for you guys, Marie?
So I was going to try and speak to the variety if that's okay.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So in looking at that, I spreadsheet a lot, and I've had to learn to really like it. No lies there. But for every publisher, I have a specific list of books that they have in stock and that we like. Additionally, our tech really informs what the kids like. And then so like I can see how many times Pig and Elephant has been checked out at said school, or Wings of Fire, or Dragons in a Bag. So I actually can kind of see on my back end what the kids are reading and what they're liking and what they're taking home. in addition to that, then like when our school coordinators go out to the schools, they do a little bit of talking with the kids because they're really going to inform you, right? Like, hey, miss, I love this, or hey, book lady, this is the awesome thing that I really want to read right now. It's my favorite title, book lady.
Yeah.
But in looking at that, like really it's kind of the kids that are informing us what I'm purchasing. But that spreadsheet helps keep me very organized in terms of I can like look and make sure what I am ordering is what's cool and what's fun. And then I can come in on the back end and do some of those other, nonfiction titles or whatever I'm still needing. So
Yeah.
I hope that helps.
And
a
I
little bit.
think we have actually hit our time. We went 1 minute over. So we only get a 4 minute break. But thank you guys so much. We will be back in about 4 minutes at the top of the hour to start talking about community partnerships. So thank you guys so much for sharing your knowledge and expertise. It was really fun chatting with you.